I have okay, all full confession here right up front. I chased Jack because I saw one of your books on Amazon and I was literally drooling. And it was so long ago now that I can't really remember. I think you said that you were going through a publisher at that time. Um, and not looking specifically for a narrator. I will still put it out there. I'm with all the publishers. If you've got more books, throw my name in there. I'm your girl. You are some writer. You're the kind of writer that grabs a person's attention. You do it, it's seamless. And I don't know if that's because of where you live, because you're in a big city with a lot of competition and you have to up your game, but your brand, your covers, your blurbs, and then you open it up and there's your writing. So tell me about 10-year-old Jack.
Well, thank you. First of all, that was extremely flattering. 10-year-old Jack, I started writing comic books when I was in sometime in middle school. I think that's around 10 years old. And I would write these comic books, I'd draw the pictures and then sell them for like 10 cents at school. So I think I've always sort of had like a storytelling kind of bone in my body. My
And
mother was
making the
also
money off of it.
an
That's
author as well.
great.
Right, and with an eye for the money as well, of course. Sure. Yeah.
That's talk about having all the elements needed because most writers, yeah, a lot of writers now don't even think about the money side.
And I think, unfortunately, too, especially if you're going the self-publishing route, it is vital more so now than ever before to be at least somewhat of a business person, because the days of just writing the book and then it sells millions of copies, I think, are gone. You
Yeah.
need to do a little bit of your own marketing work. And even if you are traditionally published as well, I think it's highly encouraged still to be on social media or, advertising your own books on your own.
Okay, so I'm going to bring you back. So happy kid, writing comic books, selling them at
Yes.
school, lots of brothers and sisters, planning for
I
the
have
future, living in the moment. What were you like?
I have one sister. I definitely read a lot as a child. I read Lord of the Rings. I distinctly remember that reading in like the minutes before class would start. Really, really loved reading as a kid. And sadly, I started to get away from that as I got older. I think the school system kind of beat that out of me as it does to so many people as
Yeah.
you get older. And just the books that they're forcing us to read, I was just had no interest in. And I sort of rediscovered that, I would say, when I turned 21, I would say, is my love for reading kind of returned. So I took a maybe like a 5 to 10 year hiatus from it, but yeah. So there
And
was,
do you know what? You've made me realize something. So many writers I've talked to seem to tell that story. And I wonder if having the personality of a writer, you need to be a sponge, just like an actor and actress, right? You need to be a sponge and you need to adapt, take in what people give you and feed it back.
hmm.
And I'm wondering if that's why they throw you into school whose whole purpose is to make you fit in with the herd. And I'm wondering if that's why I think like 10 writers I've talked to went to school and they either lost their love for writing, they stopped it, they became afraid of it, and they ended up doing something else before they had to revisit it. I wonder if that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like a good theory there. It certainly seems like it because I think having the freedom to choose because that's the whole point of being an actor or a writer is you get to do whatever you want. You could be whoever you want, you could write about whatever you want. And then in school, they're literally telling you this is what you have to write about or, be. And there's no
Yeah,
fun in that for me at least,
yeah.
because it's somebody else's idea and that's just not as fun.
What did you do instead of writing during that hiatus?
When I was a kid,
Yeah. Like when you
um,
went to school and you stopped writing, what did you do instead? What direction did you go in?
I started trying other little businesses. I had a lawn care company for a little while. I wanted to do a t-shirt thing, and then I wanted to do a little bracelet company as well. So I think I've always had like there was always some sort of I need to work for myself, like that's the only option.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So
And what triggered the writing, the comeback from the writing? What was it a quick, I'm going to start this again, or was it a slow boil?
it's actually I can point to the exact moment actually.
Ooh, I love this. Epiphanies.
Are you aware of the movie Knives Out?
Yeah, it's they did two of them, right? And the
Yes,
one had the famous,
the
I'm
first
horrible
one,
with names.
Chris Evans is in it, Anna de Armas is in it. So that movie, uh, it's a murder mystery, great movie, one of my favorite.
Big
The
mansion. They
opening,
go to the big mansion
yes,
and the detective.
yes, and the big
Yes,
mansion
yes.
plays into it. Actually, the big mansion plays into my story because in the first, few minutes, you learn that this guy is a mystery writer, or he's a writer in general, and he lives in this massive mansion in what looks like New England. And for some reason, watching that movie, I just connected the dots and I sort of came full circle where I'm like, I'm trying to do a business, trying to start my own company, doing whatever. And this guy's a writer and he lives in this massive mansion. Well, I'd like to live in a nice place like that, especially New England. It really spoke to me because I'm from New England. And
Right.
so, literally, after watching that movie, which was, I think I watched it sometime in early 2020, maybe, I believe is when, yeah.
Yeah, it was recent. It's not that old. It's like 5 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
You've
Um,
been, but your writing is like somebody that's been at it for like 20 years.
Well, thank you
Like
very much. I really, really appreciate that.
you look like you've been, I mean, if anybody watches this video, check out Jack's books, Jack Dane on Amazon, and I'm going to link your website in here
Thank you.
because that's a steep learning curve to get from that 5 years ago to what you've done today.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I'll just say this. No one's going to ever see the first few stories that I wrote in March of 2020. I don't think you'd have those same compliments for those stories, but
But
yeah.
I think maybe we're less kind to ourselves. I mean, I might because the spark of you as a writer has always been there, right? And we're less kind to ourselves. Narrators are like, I would never listen to my first books. And, I listen to them and I mean, I wouldn't probably brag about them or
Oh,
post them,
that's certainly not. No.
so go ahead. So finish I'm sorry, I interrupted the story, so go ahead.
Um, yeah, I finished watching that movie and I sat down and I said, I'm going to write a murder mystery because the author in that story had written a murder mystery. And so I was like, this is my path to fame and riches, is I'm just gonna, because it seemed viable to me. And I sort of was like, well, I used to do this almost as a kid. I used to write stories as a kid. So I think I've got it in me. I can figure it out. And so I started with murder mystery and then I wrote there were some fantasy stories in there, some sci-fi. I mean, I've written just about every genre, it feels like. I've tried fantasy romance, westerns, post-apocalyptic, urban fantasy, before settling finally on thriller. So it's been it might look like I just started in January of this year, which I did
No,
with
it
thrillers.
looks like you've been doing it forever. I mean, I just assumed that you were writing under pseudonyms, and it looks like you've been doing it for a long time.
Well, thank you very much.
It does. It's so this is the thing. I never knew anyone else did it. I thought I was slightly crazy because, like, I love books where the characters are playing the role of something that, like, I've always wanted to achieve, right? Because, like, you can model yourself on that. And I've never actually questioned, is this a real person that's actually done it? And I love the fact that you were just like modeled yourself on a fictional character and like, this is
Just
my
say, I
dream. I'm
mean,
going to make it happen.
there's plenty of movies that I've seen where that I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but there's a meme going around about like watching a movie and you basically download the personality of the main character.
Oh no,
Um,
I love that.
yes, but I've done that. It feels like for multiple movies now where I just watch something and I'm like, yep, I need to be that person. So
I love that because it's the best part of, it's probably the reason I watch most things, which makes me probably, I should be more careful about what I watch sometimes. But it's because you can reinvent yourself. You're reinventing yourself, aren't you, while you're watching it? You're imagine
absolutely.
it's what we were saying before the call. You're imagining yourself being there. We would never, how would you ever fulfill a goal if you couldn't imagine yourself at the end? What would, why bother? And you did it. You've become a successful author. And it only took 5 years, which is like nothing. And you smile and you're yourself, you're not arrogant or anything. And the funny thing I can say is, I know you say, oh, I've only been doing it 5 years. If somebody look, but from the outside, that's how you're viewed. Like, oh my God, this guy's he's got everything dialed in. He knows what he's doing. And I can see you in like 20 years being this like best-selling author that everyone's been reading for years. You're a household name. And I can see us having this call and you going, oh, well, and kind of like being a little embarrassed by it. Like, because it's hard, isn't it, to feel you get to some place. I bet 5 years ago would have been overjoyed if I described your life today.
I probably wouldn't have believed it, to be honest with you. Yeah, the fact that
Yeah.
I could live entirely on the income of 5 books that I've written myself is just amazing. It's wonderful.
But then when I talk about how successful you obviously are, do you feel it in your heart, or do you at the on a day-to-day basis think, am I doing enough? Do I have to do more?
There's definitely that. And I think that comes with self-publishing as well, as there's this hamster wheel kind of mentality. And that it could all go away in a matter of minutes with an algorithm change or something happens with Facebook ads or something like that. I think, yeah, so I can definitely relate to that sort of like what if kind of situation and definitely drives me. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing.
It's in my opinion, I know it's different careers, but in narrators, they always, when you're new, you're very, very keen and you take on a lot, and it can be grueling and intense. And then life happens that you can't control. Like no matter how soundproof your booth is, it's noise outside, a leaf blower, tragedy, you get sick, something always happens. And so fellow narrators and the veteran narrators are like, take a day off. You've got to take time. You've got to rejuvenate your soul. You've got to take a walk. And granted, I'm really horrible example because I didn't learn that lesson. I'm horribly out of shape. I don't leave, and I'm a workaholic still. But what you said really struck a chord because I don't want time off because I feel like I need to hustle.
Hmm,
I feel like I always need to hustle because it's all down to me because I'm a freelancer. I work with publishers, but you wait for a publisher. Some narrators wait for a publisher and they only work with publishers. And I'm not comfortable in a job where I'm at the mercy of someone else.
sure. That's the whole reason I do this. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the letter you got from me saying, please get the book because you have to hustle. You have to and find the things you want and control your career. I love I see little Jack, the businessman. So let me talk about a couple of things that I'm really interested in. I want
Sure.
to talk about the marriage of your this word, entrepreneurial spirit. I did a nonfiction and the author, bless them, used that word in every other sentence. I still can't get my tongue around it. I want to talk about you have that spirit. You're obviously hugely talented and you have creativity. So when you first started writing and then looked into the business side of things, can you tell me, for the sake of writers that might watch this, that might be at the very beginning stages and not feeling confident, not knowing what steps to take, what did you do first to become part of that world?
I think, are we talking the craft of writing itself or making money from writing? Which part?
Let's do each
Okay.
because they're both jobs in themselves, aren't they?
Yes, yes. And I
Yeah.
think, yeah, one should come before the other. Ideally, it's pretty tough to market if you have 0 books, right? So you need to have
Yeah.
something written. And for me, I can point to one source, which was Save the Cat Writes a Novel. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of this book.
No.
Um, it is one of the greatest storytelling. Like it breaks down very popular movies. And I believe there's like a screenplay version and there's a book version, which is adapted from the screenplay version. So it breaks down these stories basically into, your dark moment, your the highs and lows, and there's the build up and what you do at 15%, what you do at 30% of the story, what should come at 75. So it gives you a
Oh,
rough
I
sort of
love that.
skeleton of what should be. I mean, there's no hard and fast rules, but just a general sense of how most stories will do it. And I'm absolutely a learner who, if I can see an example, I can replicate it with my own ideas. I just almost need like some roadmap in front of me, and then I can make my own version of it.
Did
So
you
that
read Stephen King's book on writing?
I never read that, no, but everybody does suggest that, so maybe I should check it out. It's
Well,
called
I
Writing,
wish
right?
I'd read the one that you're talking about instead, because although, I mean, I'm a huge, two of Stephen King's books are like my favorite all-time books.
Is it The
But
Stand?
no, the one, I'm going to get the date wrong. The one that's a date,
Oh,
not,
JFK won the assassination?
yes. Oh my
Yes,
God.
yes.
Obsessed with that one. And then Bag of Bones.
I haven't read that.
Oh my God. I love Bag of Bones. It's more thrillery.
Okay,
I like
hey,
the more
that's music to my ears right there.
Bag of Bones. You've got to read Bag of Bones.
Okay, I'll
Love
put it
it.
on the list.
But on the one on writing, I mean, thank God I became a narrator because I don't know if I have the temperament to write. I've written articles and they get published, but not proper writing, like real, like a book. But his book made me feel outside of it.
Really?
Like there was a certain kind of person that's allowed to do this, and you're
Interesting.
either that kind of person or you're not. I don't know why. I tried really hard, and it made me feel like an imposter
Wow. I
to the
wonder
point
what
that I
about the
didn't pursue
story.
it.
Did he paint it as like this? Basically, there's a select few who are chosen that like sit down and a story just appears before them or something? Is that?
I think he got, when we were before this call, I said that I love the old actors studio, the your craft and getting very precious and dear about your craft. That's what he did with that book with writing,
Oh, okay,
in
okay.
my opinion. I think if I had already published, if I was a writer that had already, so I think the book you're talking about with the outlines, and this is a picture of what it could look like, would make my analytical brain able to go, right, I could do that step by step. I could do this, this, and
Absolutely.
this.
Yeah, I think
That's not what
I'd
I
probably
got
feel
from
the same
Stephen
way.
King.
I think if I read that book, I'd feel like, boy, I don't know if I have this.
Yeah, that's how I felt. I
Yeah.
think maybe if you read it out now you're a successful writer, then maybe read it, or, you know, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not a writer, so I'm not an authority. In my opinion, it made
Interesting.
me give up the thought of starting to write.
Well, I would definitely suggest the Save the Cat series then. Those, to me, make it feel very accessible. It broke it down into these sizable chunks that it sort of removes the mystique of the storytelling, like
Right.
here's just how you do it, which is what I need. I just need someone to tell me how, and then I can do it. So I mean, I think for the writing, I would suggest that. And then it really is just getting your reps in, just putting words on pages. And I think naturally, as you progress as a writer, your stories tend to improve. Your writing tends to improve, in some way. I'm not sure why that is, but for some reason, just doing it more seems to make the stories flow a little bit better. They're less clunky. Like I just find myself now writing something in, not entirely sure why, and then I'll figure out, 6 chapters later, oh, that's why I even thought of that, which is pretty cool.
It's feet on the ground. It's with that 10,000 hour guy. I told you I'm horrible with names. He's a famous self-help guru guy, 10,000 hours
Yes.
to perfect any, I might even have the amount of hours wrong,
I
but
believe it is 10,000. Yeah.
it's 10,000 to perfect any, to become a master at something. And and I noticed that because yes, there's a lot to be said for being choosy about books you take on and looking at the bottom line, the money. I will confess I'm not great at the bottom line part. I tend to, if I fall in love with a book, forget to ask for money, which is not professional. And I'm being better. But I will say the amount of books I've done have changed me exponentially,
Hmm.
not because of money, because of the amount of hours I've stood in the booth. Like, I don't think it's practice, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think too, a lot of people, at least for me, especially, if anybody out there could relate to this, I'll just say it. So, I was sort of expecting I'll write one book, it'll be a huge hit. and that'll be it. Like I won't have to ever worry about anything else. It'll just be write one book and done. And it's so hard to explain to, 20-year-old Jack that like you really do have to just put in some effort. If it doesn't happen right away, that's totally fine. Like you can just keep trucking along.
I'm glad you
Mm.
didn't read the Stephen King book.
Okay. Um,
I love that. Well, it's you don't know what you don't know, right?
sure.
And
Yeah.
that saves us. Well, uh, that saves us, I think. I kind of wish I was that girl. I wish I could unlearn some of the things that I know are impossible now. I wish I could unlearn that,
And
right?
that's not to say too, you can't write one book and it's a huge hit. I think we see that every day on TikTok. There's some person who's just like, I wrote a book and then it's a bestseller. But
Yeah.
that's not always the case. And there's something beautiful about just getting better at the book for getting better sake. And then you'll find yourself 2, 3 years down the line or shorter, and then that book does take off. You finally do get one. As long as you just keep going and you keep, just writing and improving yourself, you're not out of the race until you quit, right? So if you take 50 years, but you're a bestseller at the end of it, I think that's still wonderful because you did what you wanted to do?
Was there a moment that you thought I'm a writer?
Um, I think honestly, getting the first audio contract, that was somebody that I didn't know coming out of the blue and saying, here are, we're going to give you money for something you wrote in your pajamas. And that was amazing to me. That felt so official.
Wow.
It wasn't just me in my little cave, typing away. That was some other, company that was established that came to me and said, we want to pay you for what you've done. So I think that was definitely cemented, my feeling.
Have you already heard the audio for it?
I actually have not listened to it. I actually don't even read my books once they're out either. I feel like
You
I'm just.
gotta listen to the audio. We work so hard and we're doing it
You're
for the
right.
writer.
You're
We're
right.
like trying so hard to get in your brain and like figure out how you want it said. So
Mhm.
you gotta listen for the
I
sake of the
really should.
narrator. They did it with like their heart going out to you, specifically as a gift to you. You gotta listen.
I should. I should just throw it on
Yeah.
and see how they did.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so yes, this is so. I love this. I love this call because it brings me back to the good parts of things. Because, and I know a lot of narrators do this when they first start, and I know a lot of writers do because I've been on threads, not as often as I probably should for marketing, but a lot of people confuse marketing with business. And they take the marketing on full blown and then they end up not so much making a lot of money with business wise, but they end up with like imposter syndrome and inferiority complexes. And also, I'm not sure how you can write a book if you're spending that much time on social media. And the same with narrators, like feet in the booth kind of thing. So, so I love a conversation where we get into the specific, the craft and the business, aside from the being popular will make me successful. Because I'm not devaluing that job, but I think that's a separate job. Right? There's branding, there's business, and there's the craft. So we've touched on the craft. Let's talk business. Did you make a firm decision to become a freelancer, or did you just start off and did you start off with queries to publishers? What is your opinion about the difference? Tell me about your journey.
Sure. So I knew right from the start that I would be self-publishing. So my mother is also an author, and so I had heard from her several stories about traditional versus indie. She was in the indie scene in 2013. Those were, I suppose, the golden days of indie when you put out a book and everybody just reads it, because there
Yeah.
was 12 books on a Kindle. So,
Yeah.
um, so she had told me, right away the royalty split. And for a guy who's concerned about running my own company and, earning a living, the fact I think it's you get 15% from traditional publishing. And as it stands right now with Amazon self-publishing, they give you 70% of an ebook sale. So right there, I mean, and as my mother explained to me, even with traditional publishing, with as many authors as are doing it now, you still end up doing most of your own marketing. So there's still an expectation that you're running ads, you're on social media, you're pushing, you're pushing, you're pushing. You're doing all this to get what, 15%? You know, if I'm going to do all that work, I'd love to see the 70%, you know? So that for me was a no-brainer. I absolutely went with the 70 for the self-publishing. What was was there another part?
So, so you made the decision to do freelance. Did your mother help you with knowing how to do things, mentoring you since she'd already been through the whole thing?
Definitely. She helped me in terms of like there's some do you know what vellum is?
I know I've heard it, and I know I should know what it is, and
It's
my
a
brain is searching.
it's a book formatting program available on Apple computers. So, for example, I would not have known how to format a book, and it was so awesome to have her come in and be like, just use this program, you know? She also
Yeah.
introduced me to there's a group I'm not sure if you're familiar with called 20 Books to 50K.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, or it might be a different name now. I'm not sure, but that's what it
A
was when
couple of
I.
my writers are in it.
Yes, yes, and
Yeah.
so that especially is a huge. If you're looking to make money as an author, you absolutely want to get involved with groups like that where there's other like-minded people who will be. It's like a little brain trust. Everybody shares what's working with ads. You know, what should covers look like for your genre? How should you do this social media thing? So newsletters, should you or should you not, kind of thing. So that's real. That was really beneficial as well.
Do you think you inherited some of your talent from your mother?
I would think so because she is an incredible writer. So if I can even just get a smidge of that, I'd be very happy.
You've got definitely a smidge. You've got more than a
Thank you.
smidge. You are a really good writer. And
Thank
I'm
you.
a thriller fan, and I'm obsessed with them. I've been listening to audiobooks since they started. I've been reading thrillers since I was way too young to have my hands on them. And yeah, keep writing.
Thank you.
It's amazing. So, how much time do what's your relationship to social media?
Um, as a personal Jack, I would say I detest it. It is against everything that I want to do. But as author Jack, I have a presence on Instagram and Facebook and a TikTok as well. So I post about a TikTok a day. I
Oh
post on
gosh, that's hardcore. Really? Like a video? Do you do a live video?
well, they're about 10 seconds each, and honestly, I repost the same video, I don't know, multiple times. You know, not in a row, but I'll do different.
Talking about your books, or what do you talk about?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'll just grab a book here. The ones where I'm not sure what they call this, but you know, it turns to show the cover kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
It's,
yeah.
you don't have to
I
throw
got
your,
off TikTok. I had two failed attempts.
yeah, definitely. It's not for the faint of heart, I'll say that. But
I just never got past the twerking. And like no matter what I tried
I'm
to do with
definitely
the
not twerking.
algorithm.
I'm not twerking, but I should try that. No, I
No, I
should.
didn't do it myself, but like everywhere I looked, it was just twerking. It's
Sure. Yeah.
like I'm not sure how to
Yeah,
navigate this
that's tough
thing.
to sell books. I mean, I could balance it on my back maybe as I'm twerking around, but I don't know.
A lot of narrators go on there and do live narrating.
Oh, okay.
I hate live narrating personally
Too
because
stressful?
I feel like the Wizard of Oz and they see the wizard behind the
Mm,
curtain.
sure.
It was like shocking to me as a child. I was like, he made a really big mistake. He should never have let them see him behind the curtain. This is ridiculous. Look at what a mistake the business wise, branding. I was like a child and I understood that.
Mm,
So to
that's a good point.
me, it takes away the glamour.
I know actually Denzel Washington said something similar to Michael B. Jordan, if you know who that is, who he had asked him about should he have a social media presence, and Denzel Washington said something like, if they see you every day on social media, why are they going to come see you on a Sunday to watch a movie? You know,
Right.
there's something so cool about like protecting you and you really only come out and people, it's a rare thing, you know, like if it's given to people all the time, they're really not going to assign much value to it, as opposed to you're rarely doing it, and now it feels like a big deal when you show up, you know?
And we human beings, we're really quite petty people. We really do like, we really want that je ne sais quoi, right? We want that, like, I know we all complain about seeing all the perfect people's lives on social media, all the glitz and glamour, but and there was a whole thing with authenticity for a while. Everyone's getting up showing all their warts and ugly bits, and we're like, we want to be authentic. We love it. Our heart craves authenticity. No, it doesn't really. The heart really wants to look at the person with the big pool and the car and the gorgeous outfits. The heart really wants to see those things because we like shiny things and we all think maybe someday we could get the shiny things, right? I mean, I love and care for all the people on social, pretty much everyone on social media. I love and care for them. But there's a lot of everyone's diseases and problems and worries. It's the glamour. Where's the glamour?
Hmm. Not on social media. Definitely not.
It's not. And I did burlesque, so I know what I'm talking about. Like, there is a way to be, I'm giving you everything, but you're not really giving them anything. You're covered in glitter and sequins and jewels. And you know what I mean? I think that social media, we should do what we do in burlesque. It's the big tease. Do you know what I mean? Here's the
That's a
cover of my
good
book. You
yeah,
know,
that could work. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what I try to do with a lot of these TikToks, especially, is you kind of you have a few hooks that you'll put over the video, or I can't believe this. Oh my gosh, this ending, you have to read this. Show them the cover. Ideally, you're teasing them in a way so that they're like, okay, now I got to read this book,
yeah,
jump in there.
yeah. And that's in your blurb. I can't remember what blurb it was. I've got to be honest. But I remember that I loved it. I remembered that I wanted to read the book immediately.
I'm
I
glad it
remembered
worked.
that,
I try very hard on my blurbs. That's something
yeah.
I pride myself on.
It's important, and I don't think a lot of writers understand that. They just put like the very basics in the first like few words. But we're grabbing that for your marketing. Even if you're marketing savvy, if I'm a narrator and I'm doing your book, I'm grabbing the most enticing sentence off of your blurb to share your promo video and
Mm.
to share excerpts of your audiobook. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, pull us in, you know.
And just as a tip for other people as well, if they're anything like me, I once again, just as it was with Save the Cat, I looked at what was currently, I'd go to the bestseller list, which you can do on Amazon, and you can see for thrillers or for whatever category you're doing, you can look and see the top 50, 100 books. So I would click on those. I would look at their blurbs. I would see how many sentences. I would look at the paragraph breakups. I would look at bold words versus non-bold if there was anything italicized. And then I would make one in a similar form. So if it were to slot right in, a person wouldn't blink looking between the two of them. And that
Right.
is ideally what you're going for, even with cover, title,
That's
all
what you did with your covers. Did you go to someone for your covers, or how did you do
I
your
did
covers?
for the apartment across the hall. I did, and then the other ones I've made myself.
Because they're fantastic.
Thank you.
Because before I reach out to somebody to do an audiobook, I'm checking a few things. I'm checking, does this have box set potential? I'm checking, is the cover genre specific? How's it gonna look on my portfolio? I'm checking what's their sales number. Is it under 250,000? You know, it changes by the minute, especially if they give away free books. You have to watch that. I'm checking how many reviews they have and how many are good reviews, because those things tell a narrator if the author is marketing their own book. If they understand marketing, because sometimes they don't understand marketing.
Mm.
And as narrators considering doing an audiobook, especially if we're going into a royalty share with a writer, we have to make sure it takes a 7-hour book is at least 14 hours of recording and then editing, mastering, and proofing. So that could be, depending on how many hours a week, that's at least a week of work, full-time work. So you have to watch some part of the money. So when a writer's That's the part that I'm not so great at because sometimes I check and some of those things don't line up, but I love the book so much that I really want to do it for the fun of it. And I just do twice as much work that week, which is not sustainable. I get it. Um, I forgot where I was going with that, but I've got a question from Jonathan. Hey, Jack, how long does it take? Oh, good one. How long does it take you to write a book?
Okay. I wrote The Apartment Across the Hall in, I would say, maybe a little over a month, and that was doing about 5,000 words ish a day. I write about 2,000 words an hour, and I can usually get 2 or 3 good hours in before my brain starts to get a little, wacky. And I usually write a pretty lean first draft. I don't have to cut a lot. I'm definitely on the shorter side. I end up adding words once I'm done. I know a lot of writers will come in and do, 150,000 and cut that
And then
down to
they
100.
cut. Yeah.
I cannot imagine because it pains me like I'm cutting off my own limb
Are
if I
you
go.
a planner or a pantser?
I'm definitely, I would say the way that I'd like to describe it is I definitely have an outline. I have to have my outline so I know who my characters are. I usually know the ending. And the way that would describe it is I build basically the skeleton of the story, and then I'll add the meat that goes on top of it, all the skin and flesh and stuff that's individually pantsed on the day. So, like for example, I'll know I start here and I have to get here. I don't know how I get there. That the road is discovered as I write, but I have like my two tent poles. And I feel like that gives me the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Because a common problem with a lot of pantsers is that writer's block. They don't know where they're going. So they're just sitting there in front of a blank page and they're just not sure, what's supposed to come next. And then on the opposite end of that spectrum with outlining, if you outline it to death, at least for me, I've found that it takes the joy out of it. There's something fun about discovering as you're writing, little twists and turns while keeping those, within the guardrails in a way.
Letting the characters make there's a TV show. I don't, is it John Camp? There's a movie where the guy writes and his characters make all the decisions. Like
That's pretty
they're
much what I do. It seems like, is
I
I
like
let
that.
them figure out how they get there. Yeah.
Well, I've noticed lately thrillers with way many more chapters, shorter, but way more, like 95, 100 chapters
Wow. And
for
how long
like
are
a
each of the
7 hour
chapters?
book. Oh, see, I think in terms of hours. Like a normal thriller, a normal length of 240 pages, but like 277 something pages, 90 chapters. Now, not just one writer, a
That's got to be
lot of
like
books.
2 page chapters throughout.
Yeah, they're 2 or 3 page chapters. Is there a reason for that? A
I know for
specific
me
reason?
personally, I like to write shorter chapters because I think this might just be the world at large, how much we're trending towards shorter form of media.
I was wondering if it's the TikTok effect.
I wonder if it is too. It feels like it's easier to hold a person's attention if there's only 5 pages of a chapter. You can look at that. Oh, it's only 5 pages. You can rip through that, and you finish and you're like, well, okay, now I can just read another five, and I'm trying to like give them little bits of candy or whatever along the path, to follow. And it just, yeah, it feels like, it's tough for some people, they say now to get through a 2.5 hour movie, so I think the
It's
days
weird.
of
I've
writing a
noticed like
20-hour,
shows, so they're cutting away and like they're showing you a scene for half a second, cutting away before you even had a chance to
yeah,
see the person's outfit.
it's just it feels like a collective, I'm not sure what that is, shortening of attention spans.
Yeah, but it makes life race past much too fast. So Jonathan says, I can barely see, guys. Sorry. Do your I oh gosh, my eyesight is just horrible. Do your ideas come thick and fast for your books, and where do your ideas come from?
Okay. Well, I have a tradition where I go sit. So I live in New York and city, and I'll go and sit in a park and I put on instrumental music, usually from either a thriller TV show, movie, maybe sometimes a video game. And I find an instrumental song, and it's basically a game of clicking around, listening to the different songs, and for whatever reason, this certain song with, the highs and the lows, and it has a certain feeling to it. I'm sure you can relate to that. Songs make you feel a certain way.
Yeah, yeah.
Oftentimes, it's just a matter of finding a song that makes me feel the right way. and then a little seed of an idea will come. And I basically just then, once I figure out like this is my song for this book, I just loop it for several hours and I'll sit there, try to plot out characters as best I can, a rough outline of a story. That would be day one. And this is over maybe like 3 hours or so of sitting there. And then I'll maybe put it aside for a day and then I'll come back to it the next day and sort of see what I've got, because I would start out with just a bunch of different kind of brain splatter on a page and then see if I can form that into some sort of a coherent plot.
So, do you sit down and write at the same time every single day? Do you have rituals or routines surrounding it? Same place, same time, same cup for your coffee? Or do you do it when you have time? What's your schedule like? Like, describe a day to us.
So it varies per book, and I wonder if that's part of me and why I jump around between genres and why psychological thrillers work so well is it's a new story every single time. So I think I'm always chasing some sort of novelty. And
Right.
so even in my routines, I will stick with one for one book, but there's no like what I've been doing for 20 years type of thing. So for example, for the last one that um, I wrote that I would say between maybe like 11 and 1 in the day. And I would go to the New York Public Library to write that one. Other times I've done it just at my desk here. I've done it
So
by
why the difference?
train.
Why did you think?
Just the idea of doing something new, I think is what's exciting. It's like a new story. I feel like I need a fresh place to start it. And for whatever reason, and then I'll stick with that new fresh place for the remainder of that book, usually.
Every day? Do you take days off? Do you have a
If
day where you don't
I'm
write and you feel bad or
definitely if I'm writing the story, like the plotting and the writing out the story, I really do like to try and work every day. And I honestly, I just love it. I really do. Like it's the one thing I feel like I'm good at. So why not do something that you feel like you're good at for as much time as possible? So getting to be in my little world of writing is fun. So it doesn't even feel like I'm working, 14 days in a row, whatever it is. Though if I'm sick, of course I'll take a day off. And there are some times as well where I'm just like, man, I really don't feel like it today, but I definitely get that feeling of guilt. And I wonder if that comes from some sort of workaholic sense or that treadmill thing that we were talking about earlier.
but I love that you're doing that because I'm forcing myself to do this and I've realized it's made me so much happier. I'm acknowledging that I'm good at what I'm doing. I'm deeming this day of work as a success. I'm appreciating, of course, when I'm not good and when I'm doing things wrong, I acknowledge that and work on it. But like, I think that's so important because writers and narrators that I know, we have this feeling of like always chasing, like it's tied to your core identity, isn't it? Your output, especially if you're freelance, you have to earn
Truly.
your worth.
Yeah, I really struggle with that myself, being completely honest. I feel like if I'm not working, what am I? Who am I?
Yeah.
It's like I feel a certain sense of pride of just getting a book done. And then once it's done, it's on to the next. There really is no break, which probably is not healthy. I should be more me outside of books, but I don't know. That's my battle.
Yeah. And that's why I don't take breaks the way I should take breaks. But I love working. I love knowing that I'm getting paid because somebody thinks that what I'm doing is valuable and it's something I love doing.
I feel the
And
same way.
I could take a break, but like Jonathan says, do your ideas appear in your head for the entire book, or can you tell? I can barely see you guys. I'm sorry about this. I swear I can read. Or does the story evolve as you write?
Sure. So I would say going back to that brain splatter thing, when I have my song, I would say I get a couple of like tent pole scenes, which if you don't know what that is, that's like the big, almost like what you can envision as if it were a movie that I can see clearly how this would play out. So I usually get a couple big ones like that. And then going back to the outline, sort of hybrid model that I was talking about, where I have those scenes sort of interspersed throughout. And then I let the individual plot points between those kind of come to me as I write. So I think that gives you a lot of, for me, it gives the story a little bit more excitement because even I don't really know going into that day what might happen. Like if I think of a twist on the day, that's fantastic. I can include it in there and then go back and fix and post to make sure it works with the rest of the story. But there's no like just rigid structure to it. I think it allows for the spontaneity of, a new day, a fresh brain to look at the same story and come up with something new that you might not have come up with yesterday when you did the outline. You know what I'm saying? So for
Yeah,
me, if I
yeah.
have 20 days basically and I'm staring at the same plot, I can come up with so many new options. And each of those days, I'm thinking about how the story could work, as opposed to I think about the story for one day, plot the whole thing out, and then just leave it set in stone, you know?
Did you announce to your mother, I'm going to become a writer now, or I think I'm going to write this book,
I
or I've
wonder,
seen this movie and now I want
I
to
should
do
ask
it?
her if I like walked into the kitchen and was like made a declaration or something. I'm not sure. I don't know. Um,
Did Tell me how you're different now from the day before you started your first book.
ooh,
Like, how are you a different person? What have you learned? How have you changed?
hmm. I think I have, interestingly, a lot less stress than before. And I think that comes from having my destiny in my own hands, is what it feels like for the first time. Before, it was very much this could happen. I want it to happen, but I don't know. I'm going to have to get some sort of job. And now I can wake up and be like, I get to work today. I get to, make my own money and I get to choose that, like I'm totally in control of my life and I feel that way now, which I didn't feel before.
You're the boss of you.
The boss of me.
That's what I'm telling those people that say I'm a workaholic and I need to take time off. That joy, right? You're the boss of you.
That
You
was my goal. I
decide.
mean, that's what I deemed successful is when I can do what I want to do when I want to do it. And that to me is true success, is you're not
Yeah.
beholden to anyone or anything. And I love that. And that has given me this sense of, I don't know if calm is the right word, but at least just like I'm in control, like I'm in the driver's seat of my life, which before I just didn't feel that.
And you work harder, don't you? You work harder than you would
Certainly, certainly,
for
because I
anyone
because I know
else.
that I get to reap all the rewards of that effort.
Yeah. And you're driven. You're like driven by the, do you ever like, because like you're in the shower or you're cooking a meal and you're sparking ideas.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oftentimes I have this thing where for whatever reason, I think just in bed when the lights are off, maybe because I'm not distracted by my phone or something, my brain can finally start to function. But at the end of the day, I feel like I have so many nights where I'll just sit up for hours, just like I'll think for a few minutes, I'll turn on the light, scribble down a note, and then turn off the lights again, try to fall asleep. Something else pops up, sit down, write a quick note, try to go back to bed. Just I love that. Like that's so fun to me. It never stops, and I don't have a problem with that.
Do you have fellow writers that you hang out with or
I
that you're
wish.
friends with?
Actually, part of the reason I moved to New York City do you know who Jack Kerouac is?
Well, yes.
Okay.
That one I
Okay.
know the name.
Okay. So, him and the Beat Generation writers, so they're running around New York City. I love that idea of just a bunch of
Yeah.
young writers and playwrights and poets in the city having fun. And that's what I was like, okay, I'm going to move to New York and do that myself. And unfortunately, it's been harder than I thought to find other writers. I'm friends with a few actors, directors, that sort of thing. Interestingly enough, I have not met many other writers. I mean, online I have, but just not in the city.
There's no like smoky speakeasy where you guys all hang out and
I'm
smoke
sure there
like,
are. But for me, I'm looking for writers who are interested in making money and not just like writing a memoir or something.
yeah,
Which I feel like is sort of a difference. Like there's people who write with the intention of maybe they'll put out one book in their entire life, and then there's people who want to make this a career. And I'm looking for those people who want to make it a career,
yeah,
which
yeah.
to me has been harder to find. I'm just uh, maybe because with the advent of online everything that it's so much easier to you don't have to live in like New York anymore. You can live in, Montana if you want to
Everything's
and still be.
digital.
Yeah, so
And
there's no reason for the writers to come here anymore.
I know some of my favorite writers are like you, right? And they're freelance and they're creating careers and they're making it happen and they're owning the industry and they're making money. Dan Padavana, Landon Beach, Andrew Bridgman, they're just blowing it up, figuring it out as they go along, like you, some of my favorite writers. But now that I think about it, the reason they're doing that is because they're independent self-starters that are used to like creating their own worlds.
Mhm.
So they're not tribe, herd kind of hang out together
Mhm.
kind of people, are they? And they're all over different places. But I too have that dream. I've never lived in New York. I always thought someday in another life I would have that glamorous New York. I'm a little bit obsessed about New York.
Oh, I love London. I mean, I have a dream of me like in those streets, in some little pub somewhere. So maybe we should swap places. I
London
don't
is
know.
cool. I gotta say, London is cool. Madam performing at Madame Jojo's was like my life, my ultimate life goal. It was. Did you ever see this? I'm gonna embarrass myself. You're gonna be like, who? But because then I'm gonna seem really, really old and out of touch. But did you ever see the Madonna movie Desperately Seeking Susan?
I have not.
It makes me think of New York. And when I was young, I saw it like really, really, really young. I'm not that old, guys, but there's a nightclub in New York and Madonna's very, very cool. And they're in this nightclub and everyone's very like just indie and cool in New York and hip. And Madame Jojo's is like that. Everything just red velvet, tacky, just amazing. Watch it. Just as like a retro vintagey. Watch it. Take my advice.
Okay.
Desperately Seeking Susan. History. It's- Okay, now, Jack, I'm going to
Yes.
ask you the one question that nobody escapes on any of my calls for the sake of all the writers that might watch this video in 100 or so years. If they could take one thing away from this call, if you could give them one word of advice or wisdom, even a funny joke, what would you leave them with?
I would say it's absolutely possible if you believe it is. It all comes down to you because no one's going to write the stories for you. No one's going to do the marketing. And really, you just decide that you're going to make this happen and you can. I mean, it's entirely up to you. Like I was saying before, it's really not over and you haven't lost until you quit. And I know Brandon Sanderson has said when he was, just working part-time as an overnight worker at a hotel, before he was a zillionaire writer, he was saying he had a moment where he sat down and he said, if I wrote 100 books and when I died they were discovered and I never made any money, would I still do it? And he said, yes, absolutely. And I love that mentality of just you just have absolute faith in a love for the story, and I think that really can shine through. And you sit down and you know you work absolutely. There's so much conflicting information online, I think, and there's so many different right ways that you can do it, and I think everybody's path is different. So I hesitate to try and give like some ultimatum thing, but it really just comes down to write books and try as hard as you can to find whatever is currently working. And if it doesn't work for you in that instance, then just don't give up. I mean, it's not the end of the road unless you decide it is. I think that's really what it comes down to for me.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that message for narrators too, because there's a lot going on in the community. AI, all the competition, business, it's what you said about indie writers. You used to be able to, there was less competition. It was a different
So
world. Um, I don't care. I don't care. How are they going to stop me narrating a book? I
that's the
don't care if
thing. Yeah,
AI
it's
does
just
like every other book on earth. I'll just do the public domain classics. They can't stop me.
that's right. And that's absolutely the mindset I think that most successful people would have is you're not looking at the outside world, is you're just focused on you. You write the books and you do what you can, and who cares what other people are doing or what they're panicked about or whatever. That's their life. That's not mine. I get to decide and I'm going to decide that I'm going to be successful. And I would hope that other people can make that same decision for themselves.
And it's like chasing. What can I do? What can I make? Can I make something even better? Can I make something amazing? What if it's really amazing? You know what I mean? If it's like that amazing, eventually they'll have to pay attention.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
just don't give up. I mean, even if you have to write 100 books, then write 100 books. Because what if, 99 makes $1 billion,
Yeah.
and you turn out like J.K. Rowling, I mean, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? I'd rather that than live a life of I wrote two books, they didn't sell, and then I spent the rest of my life miserable. That's no
Yeah.
fun.
It's from the inside out, not the outside in. Yeah. I love that. I knew I had to interview you the minute I reached out to you. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us. This
Well, thank
call,
you so much for allowing me to talk with you. This has been incredible. It's
I
been
think
great
it's
to
going
just
to
have
help
a
so
real
many people.
conversation.
I think it's going to encourage, motivate, and remind a lot of writers and narrators why we're in the game.
I hope so. That would be incredible.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jack. Thank you very much, Jonathan, studio audience. Okay, you guys, have a wonderful night. Bye.
You as well.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you again.
Bye.
Bye.